So I guess
Cheers.
cheers. Mic check.
Happy 2023.
Yeah. Welcome back to Modern Midlife First. This will be probably our last episode for 2023.
You will see in 2024 because it's the last day of 2023.
Yeah. So today is the last day of 2023, so you'll probably see this episode early next year.
Yeah.
I guess we're just gonna do a quick wrap up of what we've done this year and maybe what you can look forward to next year. At the end of the episode, we'll cover a small giveaway. We're not gonna give away all this film. This is our own personal collection. But I think we will give away something that was sponsored to us by 8 Story Tree. So shout out to them, for giving us these 2 rolls of film, which we will discuss about a little later lah. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see how to give it out to you guys.
Yeah.
Even though there's only 2.
Yeah, there's only 2.
Yeah.
As in, it's just to earmark the fact that we have 500 subscribers. So we're still not fully sponsored. If you want to sponsor our videos, we are more than happy to take your money.
Leave a comment and we'll give you the details.
Yeah. But this is something we just want to give back to the community that's been watching all our videos and commenting on all of it lah.
Okay, so elephant in the room, so many things on the table, right? So I think what we wanted to do is just basically bring out some of our notable purchases maybe this year and just talk a bit about them.
Yeah. So actually, I think the overarching theme today will be a burnout in photography.
Yeah.
So I think many a times, just like any creative endeavor, we do get jaded with photography. Maybe I'll share a bit about my history of how I got into photography as well lah.
Okay.
So I started in 2007, 2008. I wanted to get into photography to maybe document my life a little bit more. My first entry into photography was instant film. So actually I used to shoot a lot of Instax like what you can see there. Yeah, so every week I would go and buy a box with my pocket money and then I'll shoot it. Eventually I did move on to Polaroid, but 2008 they went bankrupt. So my first SX70 camera, we don't have it here, but it became kind of like a expensive paperweight.
Then didn't you start hoarding the Polaroid films?
No. So I think this is maybe trauma, PTSD from back when Polaroid went bankrupt. So actually I have a whole fridge of Polaroid film. It's not here, but
you can have a look at the video. We went to his house.
Yeah.
So we
link it somewhere here. You can see my collection and you can see some of the films that I have stashed away in case of a nuclear Armageddon or something. I think I'll still be able to shoot Polaroid lah.
They might be exposed from the
radiation. Yeah. So I think like most photographers back then, that was when the digital revolution really took off.
Yeah.
So most of us, I think we would have transitioned into some kind of digital platform.
Yeah.
For me, I was actually shooting on an X100T. I think Ian, what was your entry into photography?
Okay, so I started way back. I don't know when. Before I was 20, I guess. So at that time, I got a Nikon D300. It was a DSLR crop sensor thing. Got bored of it after a while because it was so big and bulky. Then I think I bought a Fuji XE2.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one was like a, I don't know what, 16 megapixel or something like that.
It's a point and shoot, right?
Yeah. No. It was somewhat like a rangefinder style, but it's not a rangefinder.
Okay.
It's like a
was
compact
it
cam.
Oh yeah,
you can change the lens lah. It's the X mount lah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's basically I was playing with Fuji way before all the Fuji hype train was around lah.
Yeah.
And there was honestly no hype lah.
Yeah, but
just a camera lah.
Back then there wasn't really hype, and back then actually you had all these films actually easily available, so you didn't really need to have film simulations either. But I guess that's how we really entered photography. For me, I after a while of shooting digital, I think it reached a point where I was just spraying and praying. I'll take like a gazillion shots and then I kind of grew jaded lah.
So you didn't buy a Nikon and shoot birds?
No, I didn't shoot birds lah. We have a friend who shoots birds. We always give him a lot of flack for it.
He doesn't use a Nikon, so...
Yeah, but he doesn't use a Nikon, so I'm not sure what's wrong with him lah. But then again, he's a birder lah, so that kind of self-explains everything lah. I guess for me, in 2019 or around there, I decided I want to go back to my roots in photography lah. Just to circumvent the whole, getting jaded with the whole shooting digital. So I went back to actually instant form. I looked for a Polaroid. I found a SQ6 as well from Instax. And then what I did is I just started shooting instant film. But the thing is, 2020, COVID hit. So when I was shooting instant film, what the climate was back then was that you shouldn't post much of your instant analog mediums online.
But that was a long time ago, right?
That was like more than 1.5 decades ago.
Yeah, the 2010s lah.
Yeah. When Club Snap was running wild and but then because of COVID, I guess it forced me to look into the community.
Okay.
Yeah, so I found like a few communities, like I guess 8 Story Tree is one, OKB is another one, and OKB organizes quite a few events. So I went for one of their photo walks, and that's how I reconnected with, I guess, the community. Because back then, I think a lot of us as photographers, we tend to be a bit solo. We do our own things, we go and take photos on our own. You don't really need another person unless you're in a professional setup.
I mean, yeah, usually people take photos alone, like landscape.
Yeah.
Birders.
Or like you go on your own trip
yeah.
and you're the only one carrying the camera and you're the one taking all the photos for everyone,
Yeah, so it's not very common that we actually go out as a group of friends to take photos these days.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And also, I think reaching out to the community, it helps in a way because you get to see the gears that everyone else uses. So that's an easy way to play around, toy around. Because you might have a crush on a certain camera, like a Leica, for instance, like a Leica M6. But you've just been,
But these meetups are dangerous because once you touch the thing, right, it's either you will order it tomorrow or you'll never buy it.
Yeah. You'll get poisoned straight away, There's no running back from it. Yeah, but I guess these meetups, they're one way in which you can reconnect with the community, and it helps you actually get to know people, because photography actually has a social element to it. I think we were speaking about this yesterday.
We were at some meetup, some picnic or something, right? Photography picnic.
Yeah, so actually Luffy, I believe he's one of the co-founders of the film initiative. So he organizes, I believe, a photo picnic every quarter or so. They don't have a fixed day or time or location. We actually went there to just meet up with other people in the community, but the problem was we got so lost that by the time we reached the location, everyone was leaving already.
And didn't help, it was raining, so it was held in a new location, I think.
Yeah, it was held in a different location. The one prior to that I went was at actually Marina Barrage. The one recently that we went, that one was at Gardens by the Bay, but it was at some training shed. So
it's nowhere near the normal entrances of Gardens by the Bay. So it's totally at one far end.
Correct. But once you meet up with this group of like-minded individuals, the conversation just flows. You can talk about cameras, you can talk about gear, you can talk about film endlessly. And I guess it's a nice way to actually just communicate with other people. And I guess just seeing maybe the photos they've taken or the cameras they've used, this kind of fuels you to try other gear, which can actually reinvigorate your passion in a way.
So everyone always says that you don't really need a lot of gear, but I find that, I don't know, as hobbies, I think the gear drives us to take the photos.
Yes.
More often than I just want to take the photo.
Yeah. I think we're both on the same footing on this. I think for us, we consider gear to be vital. I know everyone says the camera doesn't matter, it's all about the user. Maybe for, I guess for certain cameras, there's very little variances between them, so it doesn't really matter. If you look at very cheap point and shoots, it doesn't really matter. But maybe for certain instant film, the higher you pay, the more, the better the camera gets. It's as simple as that,
So look at this. This is a Mint RF70. So it's a fully manual camera. So I don't think there's any other way to shoot a manual rangefinder on instant, right? So I think this is the only rangefinder for instant that you can buy nowadays that takes Instax.
Yeah, and it has manual focus. You can choose your aperture. You can choose your shutter speed.
It's basically just an old school camera, but made last year.
Yeah, it's actually a great camera. Mint, I think, did a fantastic job with the improvements on this. So we did notice that this is actually the second generation one. There are some silent updates inside the camera because we have a friend or we know of a couple, Damien with Sandra. You might follow them on Instagram. So they do have like the Founders Edition. So we did notice some like tweaks that were made to the camera that made it a lot better work-wise lah, you know?
Yeah, so it doesn't, you can't like accidentally fire the shutter, you can't eject the film unless it's open.
Yeah.
So with the old one, you could just accidentally just operate it if it's not off.
And then you also got a new camera, film camera, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, my recent trip to Japan, I picked this up. So I don't know why I bought a film camera.
No, it's just
Yeah. So
poisoned by the community.
Yeah, so actually I started off this year with the instant film. So I wanted to get back to basic photography again. So same as him when he had his
Midlife crisis. That's why we're on this channel.
Yeah, so he had his basic era in 2019, right?
Yeah.
So I just had it last year.
Yeah.
So I got this one. I also have the Mint, what's that?
TL70 Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one's the Instax Square one. That explains why we have so much Instax film here.
Yep.
So
I think actually he got a good deal on Amazon. So I think especially with instant film, because every shot you basically are losing money or as in you're spending money lah.
But actually it's not that expensive, you know. If you think about it, right? Okay, one Instax wide shot maybe is about $1.
Yep.
So if you were to shoot like film like, I don't know, Kodak Gold, right?
Yeah.
One roll now is how much?
One roll now, I guess
15, 16?
Yeah, 15, 16.
Yeah, then plus your
Development fee, and not to mention that travel time and all that.
And at the end of the day, right, you don't get a print.
Yeah, you don't get a print.
Yeah.
So with this, you get a print at the end of the day as well. But I guess, yeah, as in the fidelity of this is way higher than that of Instax. That's undeniable. But
The
I guess
fidelity of this is higher than this.
yeah, so not all negatives are equal either. But I guess instant, a lot of people always complain about the cost.
Yeah.
But if you factor in per shot, per image, nowadays I think they're very comparable. The reason being is actually film prices just have been increasing.
Yeah.
And when you see this video, Kodak would have increased their prices for all their film stock.
Quite significantly.
Yeah. Like I think 10 to 15%, depending on which film stock it is.
And as for the Fuji, this is
Unavailable.
Superior Extra,
Yeah.
400. This is now unavailable.
Yeah, so we were at Whampoa Colour Centre when the uncle who owns the shop told us that actually this film is no longer being produced at the moment.
Yeah.
So Ian straight away bought like 10 rolls.
He also followed shortly
Yeah,
after.
so I also followed. I FOMO a bit lah.
Yeah, but you can't get it, even though it's not the best film in the world. It's quite green. The shadows are green.
Yep.
It's not as sharp as Kodak.
Yes.
Dynamic range might be slightly worse than Kodak.
Yeah.
But it's just something
Something new to try.
yeah.
So I think that's another way we kind of like reconnect with our passions. Sometimes when you get tired of shooting photos, you can actually try new films. So Polaroid also occasionally releases like different frames. So these are colored frames that I have here. Instax, I think they have a lot of like theme-based frames as well.
But I can't be bothered because it costs more.
Yeah, it costs more, and also I think for Instax it's kind of available throughout the year.
Yeah.
Whereas for Polaroid it's like
Limited.
by season, you know. Yeah. So they'll produce for a while, then they'll stop, and then you don't really know when you'll get your next one. That's I guess one way in which we keep ourselves interested in photography lah. It's a very low bar, but I guess just trying out new films. Phoenix, I guess, was one as well. We were very excited to receive it. We saw a lot of the videos, initial videos online. It was surprisingly quite amazing how some of the photos were given the film.
Okay, so we'll talk a bit later about some shots because we have some shots that we have scanned already.
Yes.
So we'll show you some of the shots. Then I mean, you can see for yourself. It's not a simple thing to shoot.
It's not a simple thing. Actually, I think one way in which you can reconnect with this passion is actually to get a very simple camera. So I know like if you're in the whole, like we bought a Holga this year. I bought a Holga this year just to try. We made an episode on the most affordable way to enter medium format. I got a Holga 120, I think it's a GCN or something like that.
It's the shittiest camera that you can ever buy.
No, but I also think, right, you must be the most competent photographer, right, to use that.
Yeah, because there's nothing you can adjust.
Yeah, okay, you can still adjust the aperture, I think, between f9 and f11.
It's like the more sun, less sun.
Yeah. Whether you're in the shade or not.
Yeah.
But I think
you can focus it somewhat also.
Yeah, you can focus it somewhat. Like you have, but it doesn't have any distance scale. So it's either 1%, 2%, or I think like a mountain. You know? Yeah. So actually, like if you think about it, the hardest cameras to shoot actually competently and consistently are actually these lomo / toy cameras.
True, but you're still shooting negative film. So I would feel that if you want to like go into this hardcore manual thing, you should buy instant camera.
Oh yeah. So I think a lot of film photographers, they like to overexpose their images, and this kind of is like a clutch that we use. You know, if you're not sure what to expose at, you always tend to overexpose. And unfortunately, this becomes a bad habit sometimes. And instant film, unfortunately, is not so forgiving. It will punish you.
It's the most unforgiving film ever. So let me just talk a little bit about shooting instant film on this. So this camera is a aperture priority camera. So you have to set the aperture manually. You will focus manually. And then you can either let the camera set the shutter for you, or you can just set it to auto shutter. So the trouble with this camera, right, is that you have to adjust everything. And then when it's like, I don't know, it doesn't tell you what aperture to use, so you have to select it. So it's something that you have to make a conscious choice. The camera doesn't do anything for you. And because it's a rangefinder, and the rangefinder is so far, right, you have to compensate for the framing. So there's something else that you have to learn, that it's just something very difficult to...
Yeah, I think especially if you've been shooting digital cameras for a while, I think I told you before, so it's not a bad thing, but it can compensate for a lot of the human error that we normally do, you know? And then actually photography, there's a technical element to it. Of course, there's a creative element to it as well. But I think the beauty of digital cameras is that they make you focus on the creative aspect. You don't have to focus so much on the technical, depending on which kind of photography you're doing.
I mean, if you're shooting like a
street,
modern, sophisticated camera, unless you leave it on auto, I mean, you still need to know what you're doing. Because the camera is just quite complicated to use.
And actually with computational photography just coming up, like even your handphones like these. Like we have a friend, Hanif, he takes a lot of like photos on his phone. And with all the AI stuff, you know, you can delete stuff. I think
generate backgrounds.
Yeah, you can generate background, or like recently he did like a shoot under a void deck of a cat. It looked very nice, but the cat was actually small, so he used AI to make it look a bit bigger. So I think that's amazing that what computational photography is going into. But of course, sometimes this kind of things makes you jaded, you know. Because especially when you can do so much, sometimes the simpler you go, the more focused.
Okay, so talking about this jaded thing, right? So I thought that by shooting film, I'll like get back to more analog and real photography, right? But then, right, this is a Nikon F3, right? It's so good, the lenses are so sharp. After you scan the photos in, it just looks like a digital photo.
So actually, when analog, I think, okay, so this is, I think, based on the fact that we have this weird perception that analog has to be inferior. But I think there's a reason why certain filmmakers, they're probably still shooting on negatives. I think the archival quality of negative is still probably there. And if done well, it will rival any digital platform lah.
But then there's no, I don't know how to say, there's no romance of shooting analog, because this camera is so competent, right? It's honestly a bit boring. It's like everything, the film advance is so smooth, the shutter is so nice, the focusing is so accurate, the meter is flawless.
The meter is flawless. I think it's one of the best meters on these cameras. Personally, I didn't like the film advance because it was too smooth. You know, I guess with analog film formats, we want to have that tactile experience. To me, I don't really have it. But I think when they designed this camera, they really put in a lot of thought into the film advance to make it as seamless as possible. So probably you can shoot very fast, you know?
So it's just like a It's just so smooth.
Yeah, it's so smooth. Yeah, some will like it, some won't. I guess it's a preference thing. There's no right or wrong to this, lah. You know.
And it's so well made. It's fully brass, I think.
Yeah, and it's like a tank. You probably can throw it at someone, and the camera probably will survive the person. You know?
I mean, if you always think that only Leicas are built well, right? You haven't handled a Nikon.
Yeah.
The DSLRs are also tanks, okay?
Yeah.
You can run over the DSLR with a car. I think it will still work.
Yeah. Actually, Digital Rev in the early days, Kai and Lok did an episode where they just strapped the DSLR to their feet.
Yeah.
And then they walked around town, and then they attached back and it was a standard lens. It wasn't like a fancy lens or anything, and the camera was still performing.
Yeah.
So these cameras, they will outlast us, lah. You know. And being mechanical in nature, I think these cameras, they are a bit easier to repair, lah. Electronic stuff sometimes do falter here and there.
Honestly, this camera, we were talking to a camera repair guy that day, right? He said that this is one of the most reliable Nikons.
Yeah, I think if you send a Nikon F3 in to repair, something's really gone wrong.
You must have really, I don't know, run over it or something.
Yeah.
Because the electronics, even though it's an electronically controlled shutter and everything, right? The failure rate is so amazingly low.
Yes.
That it's quite unheard of to need to calibrate or change anything.
Yep.
Whereas your M6 cloth shutter always is like off.
Yeah. It's just the feel of the...
This feels good, okay?
So I guess that's one way. Another way that other than like joining like, photo picnics, going for community events, is actually getting photo books. I think this is one underrated way in which we can get inspired again on photography. So this is just one of the books. I have a few books in my library to look sophisticated, but they're all picture books. So if you actually like look through these are actually Polaroids that were taken, and a book was published lah. And this is quite a famous book. You can probably find it on Amazon. I don't think it's very expensive. But I guess looking at what other artists have done, such as maybe Eddie Warhol and all those, it kind of lends some inspiration to you. You just by copying these shots, sometimes it's not very easy.
Yeah.
Just recreating these images can inspire you to just take more photos. Also, I think like certain books, they also show the whole thought process, because often at times, especially with social media, we are like inundated by so many amazing images,
And we don't even know if the images are real nowadays.
That's one thing, but also like you just don't know like the failure rate. Like if you think about it, when I shoot like 35 or 120, if I go through a few rolls and I get one nice image right out of maybe 5 rolls right, one keeper, I'll be super happy. But the thing is, on Instagram, you always see the best work people
especially
post.
on YouTube also, right? Everyone will only show their nicest photos, right? But you can see these landscape photographers show you this wonderful landscape, but they don't show you they spend 6 hours driving there, 3 hours walking up the mountain or something like that.
Correct. So you don't see the negatives, the bad things. And I think sometimes photo books like this, especially like the Magnum contact sheets, it's a bit a pricey book, but it shows you like how and why certain like artists, they selected certain photos and which are the ones they rejected, why they rejected it. You can have a look at those. Photo books like these, they kind of inspire us to just try out new things, but also I think sometimes lends you to see the workflow that the artist underwent. Yeah, and I think that's a great way to get inspired. Another way, I think similar to photo books, are actually YouTube videos. Yeah. So if you're the kind...
Some lah.
Yeah, as in some YouTubers lah.
Most of the YouTubers are just like shills for brands lah. So.
I hope we reach there one day.
So everyone's always talking about shooting the X100V, right? Why don't you just shoot real Fuji? This is real Fuji over here, okay? Fuji Premium 400, Extra 400, and Instax.
Yeah.
So if you want Fuji colors, right? This is Fuji colors right here.
Yeah, natively.
Yeah. Why do you want to buy some like shitty ass camera from 2-3 years ago that you used to own?
Yeah.
And sold it off.
Yeah.
So I really don't buy into this hype of this Fuji thing.
And honestly, like, to some degree, I feel the film simulations are just like filters or LUTs.
Yeah. So actually, if you look at it, right, your Lightroom filters, right, are just as good as your Fuji film simulation. So,
and I think I showed you also. There's an app actually that shows you what are the settings you need to incorporate to maybe recreate like Provia, Superior, Estia, Chrome, whatever chromes you want, you know. But I guess to each his own lah. If that inspires you, sometimes it's just like, you know, to start running, you have to buy a running shoe, and just buying the running shoe in itself will inspire you to run for a while lah. I don't know whether it's sustainable or anything. Similarly, sometimes just getting the certain gears will actually motivate you lah. You know.
But I guess to most people, the gears really motivate you.
Yeah.
Even though people are afraid to say so.
Yeah.
People just shoot because they bought a new camera or they want to buy a new camera.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's always about buying new stuff and.
As in, you buy a new GoPro, you'll start using it to film, and even though your life is completely mundane, no action activities, no skiing, no diving, no free diving, but it'll still make you justify your purchase. You know, you don't want to end up with buyer's remorse. So sometimes acquiring gear is one way to actually fuel some of your passions.
Actually, acquiring gear is necessary.
Yeah, no, it is necessary, but
I mean, you wouldn't know what you like until you have tried it, right?
That's for sure lah. That's for sure.
So you should buy things, and of course you can sell them, and just find something you like, because it's not like you buy your first camera, it's good enough, you should stick with it for life.
As in, your first camera probably won't be your last camera. You know,
you may hate your first camera. After like 1 year of using it.
Yes, and I think usually, especially if you're in like very specific, okay, like we give a lot of flack for birders. But like if you're in very specific demanding situations where you know you need a long focal length and amazing autofocus, then certain cameras are definitely good. Sony is, for instance, amazing with their autofocus. And it shows in the photos taken by these people. Or if you, let's say you watch like Nat Geo, it must make you wonder like how they shot these film or videos, you know.
So we're not shooting this on an iPhone or GoPro, you know. We're using a proper camera to make this video.
Yes.
So why? I mean, the GoPro is good enough, but it just doesn't look good.
Yeah. As it might be.
I'm not happy.
You're not happy lah, but it might be good enough for many people lah. Yeah. And of course, like you're not gonna bring this camera out and do free diving, right? Or skydiving lah, you know. So there are like specific cases where these cameras, they will inspire you to participate in such activities lah. Yeah, I guess that's one way we can inspire ourselves. I suppose other than acquiring gear, what else inspires you to shoot more?
I think just changing up the mediums once in a while. Because the different mediums have different techniques that you need to know. And the way of using the cameras are totally different.
Yep.
So changing it up once in a while keeps you like more in tune with photography in general.
Yeah. I think just experiment. You know, just experimenting just keeps the brain juices flowing lah. And I think I was telling Ian earlier today also lah that being like jaded or like burnt out with photography, it's not something you should like actively avoid in a way. It's like perfectly normal if you have it.
It comes lah.
Yeah, it comes with any creative endeavor. Like if let's say you're a writer, you're gonna get writer's block at some point in time. You know, any like let's say you're an athlete, you're running. You know, eventually your times are gonna plateau for a while. You know.
No, actually it's just like this channel. So we started off making random videos. I don't know what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
Then after that, we started to make like photography videos more and more. Then it's something that will just keep encouraging us to make more videos of.
Yeah, and I guess both of us, we have a natural passion for photography. For you, it's more videography, and I guess this kind of translates into things that will drive maybe the channel. Of course, you as the viewers, if you like what you see, we would love it if you like comment or.
I mean,
like
you can tell us what you want to see, cause we are more than happy to try random things, cause I mean, it keeps us interested in making videos. So.
Yeah, exactly. We'd love to try. Actually, next year we have a few things that we're keen on trying. I think we're gonna try like a camping episode. We're still trying to work out the details. But we're hoping maybe we can do like a camping outdoorsy episode, maybe an overseas episode as well. But we see how it goes lah. As in the year is as in when you see it, it'll be the next year. But of course, if you have suggestions for the channel, we'd love to hear it. You know. When we met some people at the photo picnic, one of the community members did mention they wanted to see like a film comparison for the slide film. Yeah. So I think that's a great video that we can probably create sometime in the future.
And then to expand on that, we may actually want to try developing some film.
Oh yes. So we probably will touch base with one of the film developers in Singapore, Hands on Film, And we're gonna see whether we can do an episode on how to develop maybe
We
color.
should actually try to develop the slide film.
Oh my god, no. I think no. Okay, maybe we can do the slide film after we've tried black and white or
We
color
try
first.
something first, then we shoot the slide film, then we try and develop.
Yeah. I think that'd be an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Slide film, I only know of one person based on what was mentioned to me.
There are a few shops that do it in Singapore, but
yeah,
I don't know whether they consolidate, then one person does it or something like that.
So there might be a bit of waiting time, you know. But we'll see how this future episodes play out.
Yeah.
We're also hoping that we can get our hands on Mint's 35mm camera.
Yeah, we're waiting for that. Very eager.
Yeah, and Pentax, if they release the camera, we probably we will try to get it. Yeah, but as in, I don't know whether there'll be like shipping delays or anything. Like, I don't know. Like, Pentax has been completely mum about it. At least Mint is giving like seasonal updates.
Their updates are once a year, almost.
Yeah, but at least you have some updates.
I mean, they say it's coming. There are prototypes out there.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Actually, if I'm Mint, as in, if I were in Mint's shoe, I would probably try to release it before Pentax.
Or anyone else.
Yeah, because this actually it's amazing that they are still investing in film photography. Because a lot of times you buy a camera like this, you're like maybe the third buyer of this camera. You don't know whose hands it's been through. You don't have any warranty or anything. So it'd be good to have like a manufacturer just selling a camera, and you can expect it to work off out of the box. No need to repair it. No need to CLA it. Yeah, so that'd be amazing. We probably will do some gear videos next year as well when we have the chance to get some of this stuff.
But gear videos are so boring, right? Everyone on YouTube does gear reviews.
I know. But I guess if we can try, as in, it's just a reason for us to buy cameras, lah. Yeah.
But budget is unfortunately not unlimited.
Yeah. So hopefully we get monetized soon or sponsored by Pentax. If you're looking for sponsors, people to sponsor, please look for us. Polaroid, if you want to sponsor my camera addiction, please do that as well.
And Sony. I have.
Yeah, Sony.
I have all the high-end
Sony
Sonys.
Singapore,
Yeah.
please sponsor Ian. Okay, he's a Sony fanboy, but okay lah, he's reasonable lah. He understands all cameras.
I mean, we use Sony for the right reasons lah.
Yeah.
Making videos lah.
Yes.
You're not shooting. Okay lah, shooting birds also. You use the
can-
Sony now.
Yeah. I guess we can. What else makes you inspired about photography?
I guess really just changing out the mediums lah, using digital, analog, instant. I mean, every time you change the medium, right, you have to like reset your brain.
Okay.
Because the way to shoot and the kind of shots that you get are really very different.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me also, I like to experiment with the creative aspects of photography film. So we went for like an emulsion lift workshop by OKB not too long ago. They did like a workshop on how we can lift the print off a Polaroid, and like you basically do a lift and then you transplant it into any medium you want. It can be a metal foil, can be glass.
It's like a hydro dip kind of thing.
Oh yeah, it's like a hydro dip in a way. Yeah.
You just release the film.
You release the gelatin emulsion with the image itself, and then you put another medium that you want to incorporate into, and then you will have the image on that medium, and you can do some creative techniques. Some of us, I think we dabble with light photography, like long exposures. I know today's the eve of the New Year, but I don't think we will end up taking long exposures at the fireworks or anything lah. But we will see, maybe next year, you know.
I don't want to squeeze with the people. It's raining now. So.
Yeah, and it's raining, it's drizzling, so I don't think that's gonna be an option today. Personally, experimenting is the best way, I feel, for me at least, you know, trying out not just different gear, but even with your medium, playing around with it. As much as I shoot a lot instant, I do shoot some analog, I do shoot medium format, I do shoot even digital photos, especially for work. But I guess this is one way in which we reset ourselves, just to stay away from being burnt out or getting jaded with the photography in general. Photography, the beauty of photography is that it's so accessible. If you have a handphone, you can start taking photos anywhere and everywhere you go. But I guess just to stay motivated, that's the hard part. And I guess in some ways, experimenting with the different films is one way, right? And of course, for me, like, as in you can buy all these different types of films. Some of them are expired, some of them are still available. Like I love shooting Portra 160. I think this film is a bit harder to find nowadays.
400H.
400H,
Okay.
yeah, especially if it's in 35mm.
Where do you even find the 400H now? No one sells it, right?
I don't think anyone sells it. So this is like my old stock from my bunker. But I guess like Phoenix, Harman released their Phoenix not too long ago.
Yeah, so if you are into lomo kind of films, right?
Yep.
This is truly a lomo film.
Yeah, it's very lo-fi. If you look at lomo images from maybe to 2010s, this is actually very, very similar to that. When we shot this, we did tell the lab how to scan it, but I think labs are still having a bit of difficulty. It's very grainy, the contrast is there. My advice is to shoot it at ISO 125, but I think Ian prefers
at 200.
At 200. So I guess this is a preference thing. At the same time, I would suggest that you don't look at it too seriously. This is just an experimental film. It was bound to have issues, and it does have issues, but you should lean into them if you really want to. As in, you can shoot it in a lomo camera, you can shoot it on any camera.
I would say you just, I don't know, shoot it like slide film.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, just meter properly and you should get quite okay results.
Yeah, but don't anticipate like amazing shots. But sometimes these mistakes are like happy accidents. You end up liking some of these photos. But of course, if you're very, very technical and you want the best out of this film, I suggest that you scan it yourself. I think the difference between when I self-scan the images versus what we got from the lab, it's like night and day. Like there was so much more details that we captured. So for this film, I think either you shoot, as Ian suggested, very neutral images where the dynamic range isn't too far from the shadows and highlights, or I would suggest you just lean into the contrast. Take high contrast images as much as you can, and then you just play around with it. I don't know how long Harman will continue producing this.
I don't think they're producing. I think maybe they've just made one batch.
Yeah, I think so. So it's probably a proof of concept.
I don't think they want to continue making this formula. I think they want to continue improving on it.
Yes.
So I think this is sort of limited edition, so you should try and get your hands on it.
Yep. And
just try it out now.
And we know this film isn't very cheap. I think it retails for about $25, $26. We have just reached about 500 subscribers. So just to give back to the community, especially those film photographers who've been supporting us, we're gonna give away 2 rolls of this, okay? We wish we could give you more things,
but this is for me to shoot.
Yeah, that's for Ian to shoot. Yeah, but maybe next year, if we're doing a bit better, we may give a bit more, you know? But we're gonna give away 2 rolls, one to 2 individuals, right? Yeah, so as long as you're based in Singapore, perhaps you can comment on this video on how you stay away from being jaded or how you get inspired to shoot more photos. And as long as you're in Singapore, I think we will try to link up with you. We will release the result of the winners on the next video. And then we will figure out how we can link up with you to pass you the film rolls. That way, I think it will give an opportunity for community members to just try out, especially if they've been put off by the cost of this film. This film was graciously sponsored by 8 Story 3, these 2 rolls. So we're gonna just hand it out to the community. Do support them if you have a chance as well. And I guess we hope to make more videos such as this. Of course, if you have suggestions, we're all ears. We are also sometimes in a rut thinking of ideas.
We have too many ideas, but
execution is the hard part, you know.
I mean, if you want to join us on the videos, more than welcome. Also.
I think we may even make like videos on photo walks with other groups. We were talking to Luffy from the Film Initiative. He was suggesting maybe people might be interested in that, so you can see what happens in the community as well. There's actually a photo walk tomorrow, but by the time you see this video, it would have been long past. It's the 1st of Jan at Stadium.
We may or may not go.
I don't know how to see how lah. But just I guess just let us know. We are more than happy to accede to your requests and see what we can do lah, just to make, as in it's a fantastic avenue for us to try out different things in photography lah, you know.
I mean this whole endeavor, this channel is just to keep us sane.
As we go through our midlife crisis.
Because our day jobs are
killing us slowly. But I guess it's let's see what next year brings us.
Okay.
And I hope we can do something interesting lah.
Okay, so see you This year.
Yeah.